Section 508 requires that electronic and information technology is accessible to people with disabilities. Let's take a look at the standards. The first standard says that you need to provide text for anything online that is a non-text element, such as a graphic or video. There are 4 important criteria identified to support the first standard. First, you must add alt text to any images. If you provide alt text, this is considered passing. If the alt text is missing or incorrect, it is considered failing to meet the criteria. Note that in Canvas, when you upload an image, there is a field for the alt text. If you are not sure if the alt text is there, you can always toggle into the HTML mode and double check that the alt attribute is within the image tag. Canvas typically uses the file name if no alt text is provided. This is considered failing the criteria since it is not accurate and the word will not be able to be read nor understood. Second, the alt text must be concise. Compare these 2 examples. Third, any complex graphic must be accompanied by a transcript. Here is an example of a graph. The passing example includes a transcript. The failing example uses alt text and is not sufficient to explain the graph to someone who is using a screen reader. And lastly, any audio must include a transcript. Here is an example from NPR's website, and you can see that the piece on National Poetry Month includes a transcript. All videos with audio must also include a transcript. The next standard says that any multimedia must have a synchronized transcript. There are 2 sets of criteria you need to meet for this standard. First, you need to have a synchronized transcript. The best example of this is closed captioning that is provided for a video. As you can see here, the closed captioning can be turned on or off and the text is synchronized with the presentation. Second, any content that is presented through the video but not the audio needs to be described as well. This is commonly referred to as a visual transcript. Note that in this example that the non-text elements, such as a picture, are described in parentheses. Remember, if the captions don't correspond to the text, you are out of compliance, so be wary of any of those automatic captioning products. Most of them just don't work. The next standard is all about color. There are 2 sets of criteria needed to meet this standard. First, you need to ensure that color isn't the only way that you are conveying important information. In this example, the required fields are in red. This would fail the criteria because someone who has a visual disability, such as color blindness, will not be able to determine which fields they must complete. Now take a look at how the same form has been fixed and been made accessible. In this example, they added the words required to the fields. The second criteria states that color contrast must be sufficient. You can see what a difference great color contrast makes. WebAIM has a great color contrast checker available for free on their website. The next standard refers to tables. To meet this criteria, you must identify the row and/or column headers so someone who is blind and using a screen reader can understand the structure of the table and interpret the information. To pass this criteria, you would need to use the table heading or TH tag. Take a look at this example from Canvas. To change the top row to a header, select the row, and then change the properties to header. When you toggle into the HTML mode, you can see that the row has the TH tags for table header rather than the TD tags for table data. Although it might be tempting at times to use a table to format a page, especially when you want an image to align just right, but you should never do this because it makes the page inaccessible since it would confuse someone using a screen reader. The next standard is commonly called skip navigation, but is really about using headings. To meet this criteria, you need to use the built-in heading structures in Canvas to ensure that the content is accessible. Using headings is important because someone who is using a screen reader can skip between headings. Take a look at these 2 examples in Canvas. The first one passes the criteria because they formatted the title using the H2 or header 2 tag. The second example fails because instead of using the heading structure, they changed the font size. Note that you can't tell any difference just from looking at it, but when you toggle into the HTML mode, you can see the difference in the code. Keep in mind, you should follow this same convention when creating documents in Microsoft Word or other word processing products. The last standard is about timing. In order to pass this criteria, the user must have control of the timing. So providing a PowerPoint that plays or moves automatically would not be accessible, or creating a quiz in Canvas with a time limit would also not be accessible. Take a moment to review the key points that we covered in this presentation, and think about ways that you can use this information to inform future online development or to enhance or improve existing online content.